You know, obviously you've got your ear to the ground. What do we perhaps know, or what are you hearing that we haven't heard here? I mean, it's completely terrifying.
No, well, it's more concern from the players because they're a very closely knit group. They have been together for a long time. Forget about club rivalries and all that nonsense. There is mutual respect within this entire group, and that's the squad that Gareth Southgate has put together, where they care about each other and they can put the club loyalties aside. And I think all of us as fathers, as parents, whatever, we all feel the same. If you're away working and you're in a kind of situation that Sterling finds himself in, nothing else matters. The footballers are an irrelevance. Our thoughts are with his partner and his children. And, you know, I think there is talk about him coming back out here to Qatar for the quarterfinal, but there wouldn't be any surprise if he decided it wasn't worth it. His family's safety is the top priority as far as he's concerned, and there's deep understanding out here for that.
Darren, thank you very much indeed. The Sun reports on that this morning, says that Raheem's fiancé was at home with their 2 children. Now, bear in mind that their children are 5 and 3.
Terrible.
I mean, this is disgusting.
Terrifying.
Isn't it? Saturday night. Not surprised he's come home to look after his family.
And these vile scumbags are probably cheering on the England team, the ones who did it. Appalling.
Family's everything to him, but anybody who's been burgled knows the violation you feel. And if you're in the house or your family are in the house, that is just absolutely terrible. And you'll have that sense of insecurity now.
Yeah.
And the frustration, by the way, of police that don't have adequate resources to go and solve these crimes, right? One thing that we all agree on, whilst they're, you know, busy dealing with other things, under-resourced, and you know, I used to defend in these cases. And it's one of those things where you're a victim of burglary, the enduring violence it does to families, that lack of safety, the security and sanctuary you have in your home, and that police aren't adequately funded to go and solve.
And then there's the worry that they'll come back. Because I remember when I was burgled, the police said you've got to redouble your precautions because there might be some other stuff here that they didn't get.
No funding for forensic science, no funding for police to be there. There is funding for other things the police were doing, but sadly not to solve crimes. But
well, do you remember, it wasn't long ago, was it, that the police chief said that he wanted to make a commitment that police would go out to every single burglary. And I think anybody who's been burgled would think, I assumed that would be what would happen, that police officers would automatically go to every single burglary. But, of course, as you say, the resources are not there for them to do that.
We should go back to that police chief and say, well, let's see the evidence.
Let's champion the heroism of a lot of our police officers that go out every day, frankly, risk their lives. Right? We only hear about things when they go wrong. We all agree on that. But the tragic reality is you telephone 111 or 999 if it's an emergency. Important to remember that. The reality is you're waiting a long time. What are the police for? What do we pay our taxes for? If not fundamentally for our health and to protect our security.
Well, no, your security is vitally important to you and your family because it's your well-being. It's your physical and your mental well-being, your emotional state. And, of course, you know, most police officers, I've done quite a few, are very, very good. There just aren't enough of them. Now, if you're going to a burglary, you've got to get to the burglary, that's time. Then when you get there, you don't just say, oh, you're all right, cup of tea, off in 5 minutes. You want to know what's been taken, how they got in, then you want forensics to go to see if there's any fingerprints, and you want to match that with other burglaries to see if there's a pattern of behaviour. You want to check whether any cameras have picked anything up, including from doorbells. All this takes time and it takes police officers.
To court, right? You've got to fund the court system so you don't wait 2 or 3 years before that person's brought to justice. You'll be waiting a long time to speak to anybody working in the criminal justice system. They'll say the same thing.
Also, you've got 2 little children now here, and you know, in any burglary where the burglars have come in when the family have been there at the time, you have to explain to your children it's not going to happen again. Don't worry, you can sleep soundly. And as you say, Andrew, if you have been burgled, quite often I'm sure that they come back because they've worked out the weak points in your security. So you need the police there, don't you, to say, right, this is how they got in and this is how you need to protect yourself right now to make sure they don't come back.
And Raheem said he'll go back, and the sense of powerlessness he'll be feeling, which would be awful for him.
He was away.
Because he was away and he wasn't there to protect them. Terrible.
The other players will also know that organised gangs will realise
targeting
they are a way too.
These guys can afford to have extra security at their homes, but even if there is extra security, these gangs are very sophisticated.